Hello everyone, welcome to the 120 Literary and Jury Charge. We're going to start off with some readings from the Book of Jury Instructions. Okay, ready? Part 9, 9.00.3, Products Liability, Strict Liability in Tort, Defect in Manufacture. The manufacturer of a product is liable for injuries, a proximate cause of which was a defect in its manufacture, which existed when it left possession of defendants, provided that the injury resulted from a use of the product that was reasonably foreseeable by the defendant. A defect in the manufacture of a product exists if the product differs from the manufacturer's intended result or if the product differs from apparently identical products from the same manufacturer. This instruction is designed for defective products manufactured in assembly lines. The plaintiff's burden of proof under this instruction may be stated in instruction 2.60 as follows. Number 1, the defendant's status as manufacturer, retailer, or otherwise. Number 2, either that the product differed from the manufacturer's intended result or that the product differed from apparently identical products of the same manufacturer. 3, that the defect existed when the product left possession of the defendant. 4, that the product was used in a manner reasonably foreseeable by the defendant. 5, that the defect was a proximate cause of plaintiff's injury. And 6, the nature and extent of plaintiff's injuries. Baker v. Lowell Engineering Company, Incorporated, 20 Cal 3rd, 413. All right. I have an article here. This is on metals, the metals. Okay, let me give you a word list. You're going to hear aluminum, magnetic, nickel, zinc, corrode, utensils, abundant, protective, alloyed, lead, decorative, gravity, tarnished, centuries, chemical, and tinsel. Okay, here is your article. Ready? Aluminum is the third most abundant element in the Earth's crust. The truly outstanding property of this metal is its lightness. The specific gravity of aluminum is only 2.7 as compared to 19.3 for gold. Objects made of aluminum do not easily corrode. Aluminum is an ideal metal for making pots, pans, utensils, and decorative metal trim. Zinc, lead, and tin are very much alike. They lack tensile strength and are soft. Zinc melts at 419.5 degrees, lead at 327.4 degrees, and tin at 231.9 degrees. All three of these metals are normally used as protective coatings on other metals. Nickel is normally alloyed with other metals to take advantage of its resistance to chemical attack, its toughness, and its magnetic qualities. Nickel steels are among the strongest and toughest known. The United States coin, the nickel, is less easily tarnished than any other, as it contains 25% nickel. The rest is copper. Nickel-copper coins have been used for centuries. Excuse me. Okay. I've got some legal terms, and then I'm going to read you a paragraph. Okay, so you're going to hear obligation, implied, bilateral, rescind, contract, which is KRA, acceptance, competent, consideration, essential, performance, default, agreement, which is written GR long E final MT, express. I think that's it. And then specific. I write specific as SPE final FK. SPEFK. All right, here we go. Ready? When two or more persons enter into an agreement of specific performance, it is referred to as a contract. The essential elements of all contracts are the offer, the acceptance, the consideration, and two or more competent parties. The contract calls for performance of certain terms. Contracts may be implied or expressed. A bilateral contract calls for mutual obligations on both sides of the contract. When a legal obligation is unfulfilled, this failure is called a default. To cancel a contract is to rescind on the original agreement. A breach of contract is the failure to carry out the contract terms. All right. I've got some jury charge for you. Okay. Here we go. Ready? Members of the jury, now I have said that you must consider all of the evidence. This does not mean, however, that you must accept all of the evidence as true or accurate. You are the sole judges of the credibility or believability of each witness and the weight to be given to his or her testimony. In weighing the testimony of a witness, you should consider his or her relationship to the plaintiff or to the defendant, his or her interest, if any, in the outcome of the case, his or her manner of testifying, his or her opportunity to observe or acquire knowledge concerning the facts about which he or she testified, his or her candor, fairness, and intelligence, and the extent to which he or she has been supported or contradicted by other credible evidence. You may, in short, accept or reject the testimony of any witness, in whole or in part. Also, the weight of the evidence is not necessarily determined by the number of witnesses testifying as to the existence or non-existence of any fact. You may find that the testimony of a smaller number of witnesses as to any fact is more credible than the testimony of a larger number of witnesses to the contrary. All right. Now I've got a second part to the metals. Okay, this is part 2 of the metals that we read earlier. All right, here we go. Ready? And let me give you a small word list. You're going to hear nuclear, conductor, liquid, platinum, mercury, barometer, fluorescent, artificial, ultraviolet, electrical, electronics, vapor, quicksilver, alloy, thermometer, centigrade, gauges. Okay, all right, here we go. Ready? The only metal that is liquid at room temperature is mercury, sometimes called quicksilver. Mercury is 13.5 times denser than water and actually the heaviest liquid known. Mercury is used in instruments of measurement, such as thermometers, barometers, and vacuum gauges. The mercury vapor discharge is a good source of ultraviolet light used in fluorescent lamps. Platinum is stronger and harder than gold. It melts at a higher temperature than gold, 1773.5 degrees centigrade. Platinum is a good electrical conductor. Because it is very expensive and has an enduring quality, jewelry is frequently fashioned from platinum. In surgery, platinum with its alloys is used for artificial bones. In this age of nuclear science and electronics, many metals are finding new applications that are sure to improve our standard of living. Okay, I'm going to continue on with Awaken the Giant Within. I just love this book, and we're on How to Create Lasting Change. Okay. Here we go. For changes to be of any true value, they've got to be lasting and consistent. We've all experienced change for a moment, only to feel let down and disappointed in the end. In fact, many people attempt change with a sense of fear and dread because unconsciously they believe the changes will only be temporary. A prime example of this is someone who needs to begin dieting but finds himself putting it off, primarily because he unconsciously knows that whatever pain he endures in order to create the change will bring him only a short-term reward. For most of my life, I've pursued what I consider to be the organizing principles of lasting change, and you'll learn many of these and how to utilize them in the pages that follow. But for now, I'd like to share with you 3 elementary principles of change that you and I can use immediately to change our lives. While these principles are simple, they are also extremely powerful when they are skillfully applied. These are the exact same changes that an individual must make in order to create personal change, that a company must make in order to maximize its potential, and that a country must make in order to carve out its place in the world. In fact, as a world community, these are the changes that we all must make to preserve the quality of life around the globe. Raise your standards. Anytime you sincerely want to make a change, the first thing you must do is to raise your standards. When people ask me what really changed my life 8 years ago, I tell them that absolutely the most important thing was changing what I demanded of myself. I wrote down all the things I would no longer accept in my life, all the things I would no longer tolerate, and all the things that I aspired to becoming. Think of the far-reaching consequences set in motion by men and women who raised their standards and acted in accordance with them, deciding they would tolerate no less. History chronicles the inspiring examples of the examples of people like Leonardo da Vinci, Abraham Lincoln, Helen Keller, Gandhi, Martin Luther King Jr., Rosa Parks, Albert Einstein, and many others who took the magnificently powerful step of raising their standards. The same power that was available to them is available to you if you have the courage to claim it. Changing an organization, a country, a world begins with the simple step of changing yourself. Change your limiting beliefs. If you raise your standards but don't believe you can meet them, you've already sabotaged yourself. You won't even try. You'll be lacking that sense of certainty that allows you to tap the deepest capacity that's within you as you read this. Our beliefs are like unquestioned commands, telling us how things are, what's possible and what's impossible, what we can do and cannot do. They shape every action, every thought, and every feeling that we experience. As a result, changing our belief system is central to making any real and lasting change in our lives. We must develop a sense of certainty that we can and will meet the new standards before we actually do. Without taking control of your belief systems, you can raise your standards as much as you like, but you'll never have the conviction to back them up. How much do you think Gandhi would have accomplished had he not believed with every fiber of his being in the power of nonviolent opposition? It was the congruence of his beliefs which gave him access to his inner resources and enabled him to meet challenges which would have swayed a less committed man. Empowering beliefs, the sense of certainty, is the force behind any great success throughout history. Great advice there, huh? All right, well, that concludes our 120 literary and jury charge. Have a wonderful day.